Hey, good morning. Welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum show. Sorry I didn't do a show yesterday. I went to the Phillies game last night though. The Phillies made it. Um, yeah, it's a long day yesterday. It's my sprint visit to my client, which is like an hour and a half away. Drive to it, spend the morning, and then drive back. So it's kind of like a lot of things happening on those Wednesday mornings. But today is 3R Thursday, where we talk about requirements, reviews, or retros. And I want to talk about retros today because I did a retro with the group a little before yesterday. I did it before the sprint planning. And I got to say something about retros. Sometimes retros aren't always about getting the results and stuff like that. And I am a proponent of getting retros into the backlog, but sometimes you have to judge your team, figure out where they're at, and go from there. But today I want to talk about, in a retro, how are you feeling? And there's a couple of reasons. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to talk a little bit about atomic habits. So talk about that. And there's this very first chapter. And I'm also going to talk about why I'm bringing this up. I wasn't sure, but also I was listening to the Happy Engineer podcast. And then there he had Deborah Coviello, who is the CEO Whisperer, and she was talking about feelings. And I thought it was funny. And I'm going to show you how all this connects and why in a little bit. And part of the retro I did the other day, I asked people how you were feeling. And I want to get into that a little bit. How do you approach that? Why I asked the question and what I was looking to gain from it as far as coaching the group, as coaching the team, coaching individuals. So this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and I hope you're doing well today. We do this show to help you get home to family and friends, really, to have a good time, enjoy life, whether it be in work or outside of work. We give you tips and tricks. I got a newsletter coming out. If you haven't joined up, please sign up for our newsletter. There's a link on the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum blog page. I got to post that up somehow more into the notes or footnotes. But to be honest with you, every one of these social media engines are getting kind of touchy on outside links. So we're working on figuring out how to do that better. And I'm teaching myself more marketing, how to market, because there's a lot of business where Agile could go into marketing. But I'm a big proponent of understanding how marketing works, or whatever you're in, kind of understand what it works so that you can apply the Agile principles to it. But we do this so you can bring value to your customer, not work crazy hours to bring that value to your customer and have a little fun along the way. Last night I had a lot of fun with the Phillies game. Be honest with you, my whole family is exhausted this morning. I was actually surprised. I think my son wanted to get up early, go talk to his buddies about the game last night because he actually went. He got a ball. He got another ball hanging out in the bullpen there area that they actually tossed another ball. And it wasn't like playoff ball or something, but it's neat to get a ball from that says Major League Baseball on it. So he had a good time. He was exhausted. He was falling asleep, fell asleep, and then his favorite player, Stott, who was actually my favorite player too, hit a grand slam home run last night. Woke up, it was crazy. Anyway, those are the things we do so we can enjoy life. My wife was worried about buying tickets, so she volunteered to do an event, and therefore they offered her a chance to get a ticket because she did a scouting event for her Girl Scouts at the ballpark, and got available. We took it, right? I never got that opportunity as a kid. Miles to do it now, and that's why we do what we do, so we can have fun, bring some stuff, and have a good time. So let's talk about this. So I drew this little board on the whiteboard. It's on the picture. This is the graphic from the Atomic Habits book. It's like chapter 1. So you'll see this. And I was reading it because one of my people I'm coaching had it on their desk. And I'm rereading the book, catching back up stuff, pulling up stuff. And lo and behold, the very first graphic is something I approach all the time, where you have a steady growth, right? Because in the habits, and I think of Scrum and Agile, is these small changes grow in time. But there was another graphic he did, and I forgot. he called this the valley of disappointment, right? And I call it not seeing it zone, right? I call it a little bit different, where your growth is actually not a straight line. It's little by little, and then it becomes more tangential, and then you really exponential growth there. So here is, and I'll talk about that more later because I have a good observation on that, but we'll talk about that. So I was like, how are you feeling? Valley disappointment. So one of the things I shared this with the team, little micro email messages and where they are and stuff like that. And I do little emails every once in a while, maybe a couple times a week, just to get them thinking out of the box, different thoughts, how they're going to tackle problems. Just little pointers. Whether they listen to them or not, I don't. I hope they do, but if they don't, I'm going to chalk it up to somebody. Maybe one hits it, right? So in that thought process that you get this feeling of despair, disappointment. Why are we doing this transformation? Why are we doing all that? So the other day I did a retro. And in this retro, I asked three things. I'm going to try to fit it on this board without erasing it so I can take a picture of it and put it in Instagram. So question one, I asked, how are you feeling? You feeling today? And there's a reason for that. So how are you feeling today? Move this time thing over here a little bit because I can't fit it in. So the first question, how are you feeling today? And I drew a little box on a whiteboard and I put little boxes for everyone. I said, just pick whatever box you want. I didn't set it up here, you're here. I wanted them to pick. I wanted them to get used to choosing their own path, right? Because it's self-organizing. If I pick a spot and put a name, so there's so many little nuances to this. I mean, basically I drew a circle and I put sticky notes. And I'm going to show a picture because we are video here and audio. And I drew a little circle with pictures, put sticky notes, but I didn't put people's names in there. Only shape I did was the universe of pick a sticky, right? I want them to make those decisions themselves. I don't need to make that decision for them, right? Second question, how did you feel about the sprint? I mean, we are teaching Scrum, right? So I want to ask them, how did you feel about the sprint? And what I had them do was put little emojis on there, whether it be happy, question marks. I didn't care. I showed them where they get the emojis. They didn't have it. They wrote what the emoji was if they couldn't figure it out on the whiteboard. Because I'll be honest, with the Microsoft whiteboard program, which we use, pretty crappy. And then the third one was, what small change would you like to do? So the third question, so the third one, what small change would you like to do? So I asked three questions, and the first two I did like within 5 minutes. So I gave them like 5 minutes. How are you feeling today? Right. So they had 5 minutes to answer that question with an emoji or whatever. How do you feel about the sprint? Actually, I think I did it like in 2 minutes. I think I gave them 2 minutes. So basically 1 minute each. And then three, that's when I gave them 5 minutes, was what small change would you like to do in the next sprint? Why did I ask these questions? One, the small changes, if you get it, was related to atomic habits. Feeling is because we're feeling a despair in that little depth, right? In this zone of disappointment, right? That's a feeling. So I kind of want to ask them how they were feeling. Now, you have to be careful as an agile coach, scrum master, or somebody when you're doing a retro or anything, and you ask them how they're feeling. You must be prepared to accept some deep responses that you may not have been expecting. And you got to let it coast out. So I asked them, how are you feeling? And I said, how did you feel about the sprint? And we went around the table, and then the last one was, what would you like to change? Went around the table. Well, actually, I did two things. First, before we went around the table and asked about what would you like to change, I had everyone talk about how they felt today, express their feelings, how they felt about the sprint, the object or the activities, right? So we went around the room, around that little circle that I talked about, and everyone kind of commented. Then I had them talk about what small change, and I remind them about the Atomic Habits books and this, and the Valley of Disappointment. What small thing would you want to change on that theme of small changes, right? This atomic habit changes, which is different, by the way. You may think it's one thing, but you got to read the book to figure out what they really talk about atomic habits and making those changes. It's kind of different. It's not may not be what you think it is. So anyway, so I had them relate that. So I'm playing a little 3D chess here, right? So I'm getting them to express their feelings because I wanted them to express how they feeling right now. Where are they on this? Are they feeling good? Are they bad? Are they in that valley of despair? Where are we at in there? And I kind of wanted to assess that. I want them to express it. Sometimes some people participate and don't express their feelings. It's fine. Some people do. It's fine. I want people to get comfortable because they see other people doing it. So if they don't do it right away, the first one, I am not sweating that, right? But I want them to see that other people are willing to be open. It's a safe space. I want to demonstrate the safe space kind of aspect of it. So anyway, so I asked those two questions, how you feel and everything. And then this morning, as I'm reading, walking the dog, I'm always listening to my podcast. I mean, some people might do entertainment. I do growth stuff. So I was listening to the Happy Engineer podcast and the secrets of being CEO revealed with Deborah Coviello. I think it's Coviello. CEO Whisperer authors her podcast. So she was a CEO, some big companies and everything. And she kind of got burnt out. And what I thought was interesting in the podcast that they were talking when they were chatting, one of the things that burned her out is nobody asked how she was feeling, right? As this operational person, this guru, in the corporate ladder, doing all that. And I thought it was funny how the day before, actually 2 days before, because the podcast that came out to this morning, that I asked everyone how they were feeling. There's a thing to that a little bit. We don't ask enough, and I got a comment here. We don't ask enough how we're feeling. Can I have that title again? Frederick Carter. Let's see what title. Do you want the podcast title, Frederick, or do you want the book title? So let me know what you want, because in LinkedIn I can comment, but it won't go through. These are the things about things. So what do you want? So I'll just give you both. So the book title is Atomic Habits. So that's the book title. Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results by James Clear. So if you haven't had this book's a good one for yourself from a personal perspective and from a team perspective. Oh, and the podcast. The podcast is called The Happy Engineer. And I like listening to it because I like to hear what they talk about with engineering, right? It's not all about IT. It's all about agile, but I do work with a bunch of engineers who want career change, career growth. So the podcast is called The Happy Engineer. Okay. And this one episode is 131, Secrets of Being a CEO Revealed with Deborah Coviello. And she is the CEO Whisperer. So now it's funny. You got to listen to it. It's different things. So the podcast is The Happy Engineer. I'll post that up in the notes. Podcast, though it probably won't be in LinkedIn, is Happy Engineer. And I think I shared. Oh, engineer. I can't spell. It's too early for me to spell. You're probably all hearing me typing. Episode 131. There we go. I'll put that out. So it's in because we're in YouTube and we're in Facebook. So it's funny how it doesn't go through LinkedIn, but it does show. So the podcast is called The Happy Engineer. He does a longer format stuff, talks about engineer career growth. It's pretty good. I share some things from that show on here. Anyway, because we're at the 15-minute mark, we're way past. I just wanted to share that is a technique and why I did it, to allow people to express their feelings, get that kind of out of it. How do you feeling? Because it's good feedback, good input into what you do as an agile coach or scrum master. You have to be careful again, because I guess I could hide that now, and I'll share the show that one. So that's the podcast, Happy Engineer, episode 131. You have to be, mindful of that, asking that question, because you might get something that you're not expecting. So you have to be prepared for it. But it gets them that idea, get them as, where are they? Are they in that depression because they're doing all these micro changes that you're encouraging from an agile Scrum perspective, Kanban perspective, but they're not seeing the results yet. So you kind of get a judgment call. You want everyone to see how everyone's doing. And it just helps everyone feel better. And again, like I said, with Deborah, she kind of burnt out because no one asked her how she was feeling. And I thought the irony was, I just asked everyone in the retro, how were they feeling? And a lot of times as coaches, people don't ask how you're feeling. And then they move off, right? They'll ask you, how you feeling? Boom, they're into the next topic. Let it settle. Let it, propagate a little bit before you move on. I wanted to share that with you, an idea from a retro perspective. Get a feel for how they feel and how are they in that curve. Are they happy? And there's all kinds of other curves we can go over time, which I do coach people on in their journeys, right? So I want to share that with you as a retro item. Have a little fun. Go Phillies. They won last night. Exhausted today. And by the way, again, we do have the newsletter. It's going out. It's free. Just sign up for it. I am still doing my 15-minute thing that I talked about the other day on Tuesday, writing down my 15 minutes. And I'll be honest with you, it's kind of hard. Got Philly stuff going on. I was out all day yesterday, tracking all that. So I'm like third day of tracking it, giving it another shot, giving it a couple days. It does take a couple days because you kind of go in and out on writing what you do every 15 minutes. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I miss some stuff. I try to go back a little bit, fill it in. I don't sweat it so much, but I do try to fill in some things. If I don't, I just let it go. And I say, you know what? I'll just track it again tomorrow. It may take a couple days because sometimes you get these big chunks of time, but it is pretty much an eye opener. So I do recommend that 15-minute recording what you do throughout the day. That was our episode from Tuesday, where you do 2-for-1 Tuesday, 10xing your life. So, and your teams. Anyway, I want to wish you the best. Have a great day. Happy scrumming. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. And Frederick, thanks for the question. And I appreciate the comment. I hope you got your information. Try it out. It's a good podcast. There's a couple good ones out there. And with that, I want to say, have a great day. Take care and bye.